Joining us now is our 2018 Teacher of the Year, Freebird McKinney. All right, Freebird, I've got to start with the obvious question, I guess, is where did the name Freebird come from?
Well, it's a great way to start the first day class, because I believe that the name gives a lot of students a way to tap into the human story.
Okay.
So name gives value and meaning and purpose. And so I start off by explaining I've had 3 full names in my life. So I was born Brian Derek Strong, and then my parents were divorced. And then I was adopted. My name became Brian Derek Freeburger, which is where the nickname came in.
Okay.
Then they divorced, and so when I was going to get married, I wanted to honor a constant, which was my mom. So we took my mother's maiden name, which was McKinney, and my nickname, and so formed a new name, Brian Freebird McKinney.
Well, it's a great way to tell the story. Of course, I grew up. I'm a native North Carolinian. I'm from Fayetteville, and so when I mentioned, of course, I either want to yell out Freebird when you first got named, and half the people that I work with didn't have any idea what I was talking about. So I've since educated them about Leonard Skinner. So I was. And by the way, did you know that just a quick? You probably did if you've used Freebird as your name. That the name of the band came from their high school teacher. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yes,
That's
it's a true story.
I'm going to add that to it.
In Jacksonville, Florida, the original band members got sent to the office by their PE teacher, Leonard Skinner, because their hair was too long. And so when they decided to form the band, then to honor him, they called themselves Leonard Skinner. How about that? All right, so let's jump into a little bit about your story. You just told a lot of your personal story, but so tell me, during that process, when did you decide you wanted to become a teacher?
I think every teacher has that story, and mine starts with my 10th grade English teacher, Doug Pierce. And then he became my humanities teacher, my cross-country coach, my track coach. I babysat for his family. And I think what ended up happening is I see that a teacher's value, their capital, lies in their investment of time and where you put that time. And most often for us, we put that time in our students,
right,
and making sure that our students have quality instruction. But then, transformative learning takes place outside of the classroom. So where are you dedicating that time? And Doug dedicated so much time in my life as a coach, as a teacher, as a mentor. He was my first kind of entree into philosophy. So, he really lit that fire that later on down the road I actualized by becoming a teacher.
Right, I should have mentioned at the beginning, you've been teaching now, for 14 years.
Yes, sir.
Right, and you've currently, I don't know if this has always been the case, you teach world and European history.
I do.
And I know a lot of folks, so I know here in Wake County, you've been developing an international baccalaureate program up in Alamance.
We have. So I taught at the IB program at Grimsley, North Carolina, or excuse me, Grimsley High School in Greensboro, North Carolina. And fell in love with that class, realized just, the ability to teach students, what it means to be human and to allow them to kind of work through that process and self-reflection and self-analysis, and then synthesizing that with the Tao Te Ching and Confucius and Peter Singer and Charles Taylor. And it was a transformative class. And I realized I was dedicating a lot of time and energy in Greensboro at Grimsley when my county and my home high school, Williams, could use that as well. So several colleagues and I started that process, and we begin in August with the new IB program at Williams High School.
Well, congratulations on being named the Teacher of the Year. It does provide some unique opportunities and a platform. You're here to talk about it. So, what do you hope to accomplish with this sort of? I think folks on who watch our show regularly know Teachers of the Year basically are out of the classroom for a year and traveling around. You're a little bit of an ambassador in some ways, but also speaking for and on behalf of teachers of North Carolina. So what do you want to accomplish?
Well, and I think one of the most important aspects of this process that I've learned is that I have such a strong regional team. I'm kind of in a microcosm in Burlington, North Carolina, so I can't understand everything that's going on around the state. So the regional team, through several amazing benefits like NCAT, has been able to sit down and meet and really formulate a platform. So we kind of have 4 main aspects of that we want to work on. The first is building bridges. I call it becoming the village teacher because that's kind of what I've tried to emulate my whole professional career. But really, it's developing relationships at all levels of our community, because I believe that the teacher can be a truly transformative individual in a community, starting with the self and then with their classroom, then with their school, and then the community. And so we want to kind of energize teachers around the state to say, you have the potential to really be the change that you want to see in that community. And then that also leads to making sure that public education provides access to all students. And that's racial justice, that is socioeconomics, that's ESL, EC, that's PE, that's the arts, that's NCVPS,
that's every child,
charter school, everything, every single child. Also, we want to focus on teacher recruitment and retainment and retention, because we feel like this is the greatest profession on the face of the earth, and what we can do in our classrooms and outside of that, we want all teachers to realize that potential. But also, once they're there, how do we provide support? How do we make them want to stay in the profession? And lastly, global education and cultural immersion for both teachers and students. We feel if you're truly going to actualize as a 21st century learner, we're becoming much more globally integrated, and we need to become much more globally minded. And so providing opportunities for both our educators and our students in that realm, I think we could really build benefits.
Well, fantastic. You mentioned about recruitment and retention. We talk about that a lot on the show because, look, we've seen declines in enrollment in schools of education over the last few years. You've been in the classroom. What can we do as a state, also as parents, as citizens, to better support teachers to make it something that people want to go into, like you did? I mean, a lot of kids felt the same way you did about a teacher, and then decided at some point the teaching wasn't for me. What can we do to make that, to keep that continuum going?
Well, I feel very blessed. Alamance County has developed an unbelievable kind of system, and it starts with a group with Impact Alamance and with Teacher Leadership Academy. It starts with the strength of the Chamber of Commerce. It starts with the local university like Elon. It starts with our community college and the strength of that program. So one of the focuses that we want to work with is how do we take all of those community resources and build connections so that our teachers can tap into those and then bring those resources back to the students. And in my opinion, I think that if we focus on building it from the community level, and each one of our communities around the state can do that, but then we can share. We're working right now sharing with Rutherford County about our Teacher Leadership Academy and how we can then kind of duplicate that around the state so that other teachers have this amazing experience.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. I'm sure your students love you. We love having you on the show, and we hope you'll come back and talk to us more as your journey continues. Freebird, thank you so much.
Thank you, I'm honored.
After the break, this week's Leadership Spotlight.